Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest investment you will ever make is not in property, business, or status, that is in yourself. Inside every human being lies untapped potential, hidden discipline, unseen greatness, and a future waiting for permission to appear. The tragedy of life is not failure. The tragedy is dying with your gifts still unopened. Today, I stand before you with one simple challenge. Give yourself 90 days. 90 days of focus, 90 days of discipline, 90 days of saying no to excuses and yes to growth, because transformation does not happen by accident, it happens by decision. You are only one commitment away from a new mindset, one habit away from a new lifestyle, and one season away from becoming the person you were created to be. The question is not whether you can change. The question is, are you willing to give yourself the chance? So tonight, let us begin the journey to the unstoppable version of you. Vision creates direction because no one moves successfully without knowing where they are going. Many people are busy, but being busy is not the same as being productive. Activity can exhaust your body while producing nothing meaningful in your life. Movement alone is not progress. You can run fast in the wrong direction and still end up far from your purpose. That is why vision is essential. Vision gives meaning to your energy, purpose to your effort, and clarity to your daily decisions. Without vision, life becomes random, reactive, and controlled by circumstances. With vision, every step begins to carry intention. A person without vision wakes up each day asking, "What should I do today?" A person with vision wakes up asking, "What must I do today to move closer to where I am meant to be?" That one difference changes everything. Vision organizes your priorities. It helps you separate what matters from what distracts you. It teaches you to value time because you understand that every day is a piece of your future. When you know where you are going, you stop wasting years on things that do not belong in your destiny. Many people wait for motivation before they start changing their lives, but vision is stronger than motivation. Motivation is emotional and temporary. Vision is internal and lasting. Motivation can disappear when life becomes difficult, but vision remains when emotions fade. Vision keeps you moving when nobody applauds you. Vision keeps you disciplined when results are slow. Vision keeps you committed when comfort calls your name. The reason some people continue while others quit is often not talent or luck, but clarity. The clearer the vision, the stronger the endurance. Vision also protects you from comparison. When people do not know their own assignment, they become obsessed with someone else's success. They spend their lives measuring their progress against other people's timelines. They envy what they were never called to carry. But when vision is alive inside you, comparison loses its power. You understand that your path is unique. You stop chasing trends and begin building purpose. You stop competing with everyone and start developing yourself. Vision teaches you that success is not becoming someone else, but becoming the highest version of who you were designed to be. Direction matters more than speed. Some people are in a hurry, but they are not clear. They want quick results, instant recognition, and rapid change, yet they have never defined what success actually looks like for them. If you do not define success, society will define it for you. If you do not choose your destination, distractions will choose it for you. Vision saves you from living by default. It allows you to live by design. It turns your future from a wish into a target. A target changes behavior. When an athlete sees the finish line, energy increases. When a pilot knows the destination, every control in the cockpit serves that location. When an architect sees the blueprint, every brick has purpose. In the same way, when you see a picture of the person you want to become, your habits begin to align with that image. Vision influences what you read, who you spend time with, how you manage your mornings, what you tolerate, and what you refuse. You cannot carry a powerful future with careless habits. Vision demands alignment. This is why writing your vision is powerful. What is vague remains weak, but what is clear becomes actionable. A written vision becomes a mirror and a map. It reminds you who you are becoming when your current situation tries to define you. It keeps your mind focused when opportunities appear that look attractive but lead nowhere. It helps you make decisions faster because not every open door is your door. Some opportunities are assignments and some are distractions wearing attractive clothes. Vision gives you the wisdom to know the difference. The next 90 days can become a turning point in your life if you begin with vision. Before changing your habits, change your picture. Before adjusting your schedule, adjust your focus. Before asking how, decide what. See the healthier you, the stronger you, the wiser you, the disciplined you, the confident you, the impactful you. See yourself rising above old patterns, breaking limiting beliefs, and stepping into new standards. Your mind moves toward the images it accepts. If you can see it clearly, you can pursue it intentionally. Vision is not fantasy. It is the ability to perceive tomorrow and act on it today. It is seeing beyond current limitations into future possibilities. It is refusing to let present conditions become permanent conclusions. You may not have all the resources now. You may not know every step now. You may not feel ready now. But vision does not require full details to begin. It only requires enough clarity to take the next right step. As you move, more becomes visible. As you act, confidence grows. As you stay faithful, direction becomes stronger. The person you become in 90 days will be shaped by what you choose to see today. If your vision is small, your effort will be small. If your vision is confused, your actions will be inconsistent. If your vision is strong, your discipline will rise to meet it. Great lives are not built accidentally. They are built by people who saw something greater and decided to walk toward it every single day. Discipline builds destiny because the future is not created by wishes, emotions, or occasional effort. It is created by repeated actions done consistently over time. Many people admire success, but they underestimate the daily structure behind it. They celebrate the visible results while ignoring the invisible habits that produce them. Greatness is rarely one dramatic moment. More often, it is the quiet power of discipline working every day when nobody is watching. What you do repeatedly becomes what you become. Your routines are writing your future long before the world notices your progress. Discipline means doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. Feelings are unstable. Some mornings you feel motivated, some mornings you do not. Some days confidence is high, some days it is low. If your progress depends on your mood, your progress will always be fragile. Discipline frees you from being controlled by emotion. It teaches you to act based on commitment rather than convenience. That is why disciplined people keep growing while others keep restarting. They do not wait for perfect energy. They move with purpose even on ordinary days. Many people think discipline is punishment, but discipline is actually self-respect in action. It is the decision to honor your goals enough to protect them with consistent behavior. When you wake up on time, manage your schedule, keep your promises, train your mind, and guard your focus, you are sending yourself a message: my future matters. Every disciplined action strengthens identity. You begin to trust yourself because you see yourself keeping your word. Confidence grows when you become reliable to your own commitments. Destiny is not a mystery waiting somewhere in the distance. Destiny is shaped in daily choices. The person you become in 5 years is being formed by what you choose today. One extra hour wasted may seem small, but repeated waste becomes regret. One healthy decision may seem small, but repeated discipline becomes transformation. Life often changes slowly before it changes suddenly. The harvest appears later, but the seeds are planted now. Discipline understands that small actions are never truly small when they are repeated consistently. The greatest battle in life is often not against outside obstacles, but against inner resistance. Laziness, distraction, procrastination, excuses, and comfort can quietly steal years from a person's potential. Discipline confronts these enemies directly. It says no to what feels easy so you can say yes to what truly matters. It rejects short-term pleasure when that pleasure costs long-term progress. It chooses preparation over delay, growth over comfort, and standards over impulses. Many people want a better life, but few are willing to build better habits. Discipline also creates freedom. This may sound surprising because many people think freedom means doing whatever you want whenever you want. But uncontrolled desires can become chains. A lack of discipline can trap people in debt, poor health, weak character, missed opportunities, and constant frustration. Real freedom comes when you have control over yourself. The disciplined mind can focus. The disciplined body can endure. The disciplined person can be trusted with responsibility. Self-mastery opens doors that talent alone cannot open. Talent without discipline often becomes wasted potential. Someone may be gifted, intelligent, creative, or naturally skilled, yet still fail to reach meaningful impact because they never develop consistency. Meanwhile, another person with average ability but strong. Discipline keeps improving until excellence becomes inevitable. Talent may give you a head start, but discipline determines how far you go. Ability can attract opportunity, but discipline sustains opportunity. Many doors open because of potential and close because of poor habits. Discipline is especially important during seasons when results are invisible. There are moments when you work hard and nothing seems to change. You study but progress feels slow. You train but improvement feels delayed. You build but recognition does not come. This is where many people quit. They mistake silence for failure. Discipline keeps going even when rewards are not immediate. It understands that roots grow underground before fruit appears above ground. What feels hidden today may become obvious tomorrow. The next 90 days can become powerful if you choose discipline over excuses. Wake up with intention. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Reduce distractions. Use your time wisely. Do the hard. Task first. Finish what you start. Read when entertainment is easier. Train when rest feels tempting. Save when spending feels attractive. Speak with maturity when anger feels natural. Choose actions that match the person you want to become. Every day gives you another chance to build or weaken your destiny. Discipline does not demand perfection. It demands persistence. You may miss a day, make a mistake, or lose momentum for a moment. The answer is not to quit. The answer is to return quickly. Strong people are not those who never stumble, but those who refuse to stay down. Consistency is not about flawless performance. It is about faithful repetition. Keep showing up, keep adjusting, keep learning, keep moving. When discipline becomes part of your identity, life changes from the inside out. You stop negotiating with every challenge. You stop needing applause to stay committed. You stop depending on pressure to take action. You become proactive instead of reactive. You become stable instead of easily distracted. You become stronger than your impulses. The habits you once struggled to maintain begin to carry you forward with momentum. What once felt difficult becomes normal because discipline has trained your character to support your future. Consistency defeats excuses because excuses are not stronger than effort repeated over time. Excuses are only powerful when action is weak or irregular. The moment consistency enters a person's life, excuses begin to lose their influence. Most people do not fail because they lack ability, they fail because they lack continuity. They start with enthusiasm, but they do not sustain the process. They begin with strong intentions, but they do not protect their daily habits. In the end, it is not the lack of opportunity that stops progress, it is the interruption of effort. Consistency is the bridge between intention and achievement. Many people have good intentions. They want to improve, grow, succeed, and transform. But intention without repetition remains a dream. Consistency turns desire into reality. It is not about doing something extraordinary once, but doing something ordinary repeatedly with commitment. Small actions, when repeated daily, create results that look extraordinary from the outside. What people call overnight success is usually years of consistent effort that no one saw. Excuses are always available. They are easy to create and easy to justify. The mind can quickly find reasons to delay action. I am tired. I will start tomorrow. I don't have enough time. I am not ready yet. The situation is not right. I will wait until things improve. These statements feel logical in the moment, but they slowly weaken discipline. Every excuse delays progress and strengthens the habit of avoidance. The more a person listens to excuses, the more natural they become. Eventually, delay becomes a lifestyle. Consistency breaks that cycle. It teaches the mind that action does not depend on perfect conditions. It builds the habit of showing up regardless of circumstances. Whether energy is high or low, whether motivation is present or absent, whether the environment is supportive or challenging, consistency continues. This is why consistent people eventually outperform talented people who are inconsistent. Talent gives potential, but consistency converts potential into reality. There is a hidden power in repetition. The mind learns through patterns. The body adapts through repetition. Skills improve through repetition. Confidence grows through repetition. When you repeat a behavior daily, it becomes easier over time. What once required effort begins to feel natural. This is how habits are formed. The difficult becomes familiar, and the familiar becomes automatic. Consistency turns effort into identity. Many people underestimate the value of small actions. They believe that only big actions matter. But transformation rarely happens through large, sudden changes. It happens through small, repeated decisions, drinking one glass of water, reading a few pages, practicing for a short time, exercising regularly, waking up on time, or focusing for a set period every day may seem insignificant in isolation. But over weeks and months, these actions create visible change. Consistency respects small beginnings because it understands large outcomes are built from them. Excuses thrive in inconsistency because inconsistency creates confusion. When actions are irregular, the mind struggles to build rhythm. One day of effort followed by 3 days of delay creates instability. Progress becomes slow and frustration increases. This frustration then produces more excuses and the cycle continues. Consistency interrupts this pattern by creating structure. Structure reduces confusion. Structure builds clarity. Structure removes the space where excuses grow. One of the biggest challenges people face is emotional dependency. When actions depend on emotions, progress becomes unstable. Some days a person feels inspired and takes action. Other days they feel low and stop completely. This emotional fluctuation creates inconsistency. Consistency replaces emotional dependency with commitment. It says, I will act because I decided to act, not because I feel like acting. This shift is powerful because it removes emotions from the driver's seat of behavior. The next level of growth requires patience with repetition. Many people stop too early because they do not see immediate results. They expect change to happen quickly, and when it does not, they assume the process is not working. But real growth is often invisible at first. Like planting seeds, there is a period where nothing appears above the surface, yet development is happening underground. Consistency requires trust in the process even when results are delayed. Excuses lose strength when they are not entertained. The more a person ignores excuses and acts anyway, the weaker those excuses become. At first, resistance feels strong. The mind tries to resist effort, offering reasons to stop. But with repetition, resistance decreases. Action becomes easier. The threshold for starting lowers. Eventually, what once felt difficult becomes normal behavior. This is how transformation happens, through repetition rather than motivation. Consistency also builds credibility with yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen self-trust. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken it. People often look for external validation, but internal trust is more important. When you know you can rely on yourself, confidence increases naturally. You stop doubting your ability to follow through. This internal stability becomes the foundation for larger achievements. Excuses may delay progress, but they cannot stop someone who is consistent. Over time, consistency compounds. One action leads to another, one day leads to another, 1 week leads to another. The gap between where you are and where you want to be begins to close. What once felt far becomes achievable. What once felt impossible becomes realistic. The difference is not dramatic effort, but repeated effort. Consistency does not require perfection. It requires continuation. Even imperfect effort counts if it is repeated. Even small progress matters if it continues. Even slow movement is powerful if it does not stop. The moment consistency becomes your default response, excuses begin to lose their place in your life, and progress becomes natural rather than forced. Mindset determines momentum because everything you achieve in life begins in the unseen space of your thoughts. Before a person takes action, there is a belief. Before behavior is formed, there is interpretation. Before results appear, there is a mental framework shaping what is possible. Two people can experience the same situation, yet walk away with completely different outcomes, not because the situation changed, but because their mindset that interpreted it differently. One sees limitation, the other sees opportunity. One sees failure, the other sees feedback. One stops, the other adjusts. That difference is mindset. Momentum is not created by sudden effort alone. It is created by direction combined with belief. A strong mindset gives direction to effort. Without the right mindset, even hard work can be misaligned. You can move fast and still go nowhere meaningful if your thinking is unclear. But when mindset is strong, even small actions begin to build momentum because every step is connected to a larger belief about what is possible. Momentum is not just physical movement, it is psychological acceleration. Your mindset shapes how you respond to pressure. Life does not become easier when you grow. Challenges often become more complex. The difference is not the absence of pressure, but the ability to handle it. A weak mindset interprets pressure as a sign to quit. A strong mindset interprets pressure as a sign of growth. In part, one collapses under difficulty, the other becomes sharper because of it. Momentum is often built in difficult seasons, not easy ones, because resistance forces refinement. Many people lose momentum not because they lack ability, but because their mindset limits their persistence. The moment they face obstacles, they begin to question their capability. They assume difficulty means they are on the wrong path. But most meaningful progress requires passing through resistance. Mindset determines whether resistance becomes a stopping point or a strengthening point. When the mind is trained to endure, every challenge becomes fuel instead of friction. Belief is one of the strongest forces behind momentum. What you believe about yourself directly influences what you attempt. If you believe you are capable, you attempt more. If you believe you are limited, you avoid effort. This is why mindset is not just positive thinking, it is structured thinking. It is the internal narrative that either expands or restricts your behavior. A person with a growth-oriented mindset does not see ability as fixed. They see it as something that can be developed through learning, repetition, and discipline. This belief creates continuous movement. Momentum is fragile at the beginning but powerful once established. Starting is often the hardest part because the mind resists uncertainty. A person with a weak mindset overthinks the start and never begins. A person with a strong mindset accepts discomfort and begins anyway. Once movement starts, it becomes easier to continue moving. The first step requires belief. The next steps are supported by momentum. Mindset is what pushes you through the initial resistance. Your internal dialogue plays a major role in shaping momentum. The way you speak to yourself during difficulty determines whether you continue or retreat. If your internal voice is filled with doubt, hesitation increases. If your internal voice is filled with clarity and resilience, action continues. Many people underestimate how much their thoughts influence their behavior, but every decision you make is filtered through your mindset before it becomes action. A strong mindset also reframes failure. Instead of seeing failure as identity, it is seen as information. Instead of I failed, it becomes I learned what does not work. This shift is powerful because it prevents emotional collapse after setbacks. Momentum is often lost not because of failure itself, but because of the meaning attached to failure. When failure is seen as final, movement stops. When failure is seen as feedback, movement continues with adjustment. Comparison is another factor that affects mindset and momentum. When people constantly compare themselves to others, they lose focus on their own process. Comparison creates distraction, and distraction breaks momentum. A strong mindset understands that every journey has different timing, different resources, and different preparation. Instead of measuring against others, it measures against personal progress. This keeps attention focused inward, where real development happens. Momentum requires mental discipline because thoughts must stay aligned with goals. If the mind is scattered, effort becomes scattered. If the mind is focused, effort becomes concentrated. Focused effort produces visible progress faster than scattered effort. This is why mindset is the foundation of productivity. It organizes attention, filters distractions, and directs energy toward meaningful action. The environment can influence mindset, but it does not define it. Many people blame external conditions for lack of progress, but the stronger truth is that mindset often determines how the environment is interpreted. Two people can exist in the same difficult environment, yet one builds momentum while the other loses it. The difference is not the environment itself, but the mental approach toward it. Momentum grows when mindset stays consistent under pressure, under delay, and under uncertainty. The ability to maintain belief during slow progress is what separates temporary effort from sustained achievement. When the mind refuses to quit, even slow progress compounds. Over time, small movements become visible change, and visible change becomes undeniable progress. Growth requires sacrifice because nothing valuable in life is obtained without the release of something familiar, comfortable, or convenient. Every level of growth demands a cost. Many people desire change, but they resist the price that change requires. They want new results while keeping old habits. They want transformation without disruption. But growth does not negotiate with comfort. It always asks what you are willing to let go of in order to become something greater. Sacrifice is not loss for the sake of loss, it is exchange. You give up what you are in order to receive what you are becoming. The problem is that what you are used to often feels safer than what you call to. Familiar habits feel predictable even if they are limiting. Growth challenges that comfort by asking you to step into uncertainty. That is why sacrifice feels difficult. It is not only about giving something up, it is about stepping away from identity patterns that no longer serve your future. Many people stay stuck not because they cannot grow, but because they are unwilling to release what is holding them back. It may be time, distractions, relationships, habits, environments, or even mindsets that no longer align with their direction. Growth requires evaluation. You cannot move forward while holding everything from your past. At some point, you must decide what deserves to continue with you and what must be left behind. That decision is often uncomfortable because attachment creates resistance. Sacrifice begins with priorities. What you prioritize determines what you are willing to sacrifice. If comfort is your priority, growth will always feel like pressure. If growth is your priority, comfort will feel like a distraction. Every person is constantly sacrificing something, whether they realize it or not. The question is not whether you are sacrificing, but what you are sacrificing for. Time spent on distraction is a sacrifice of potential. Energy spent on avoidance is a sacrifice of opportunity. Delay itself is a form of sacrifice because it costs you future progress. Growth demands the ability to delay gratification. Immediate pleasure often competes with long-term development. Scrolling, procrastination, avoidance, and comfort can feel easier in the moment, but they silently cost future strength. Sacrifice chooses long-term reward over short-term satisfaction. It trains the mind to think beyond the present feeling and evaluate future consequences. This shift is essential for anyone who wants to evolve beyond their current level. There is also a hidden sacrifice in identity change. To grow, you must be willing to outgrow versions of yourself that once felt comfortable. The habits that shaped your past success may not be sufficient for your next level. This requires humility. It requires the willingness to admit that what worked before may not work now. Many people resist growth because they are attached to who they have been, even when that version no longer fits their future. Sacrifice often feels like loss in the beginning because results are not immediate. When you remove distractions or change habits, there is a temporary discomfort. The mind resists change because it prefers stability, even if that stability is limiting. But growth always moves through a phase of discomfort before it becomes strength. The early stage of sacrifice feels like giving up something important, but over time, it reveals that what was given up was actually a barrier. Another form of sacrifice is focus. In a world full of distractions, choosing focus means sacrificing attention elsewhere. Every yes to one thing is a no to many others. People often underestimate how many opportunities they lose simply because their attention is scattered. Growth requires narrowing focus so energy is concentrated. When attention is divided, progress slows. When attention is focused, progress accelerates. Sacrifice is what protects that focus from being diluted. Relationships can also influence growth and require careful evaluation. Not all connections support your direction. Some relationships encourage distraction, while others encourage discipline. Growth sometimes requires distance from environments that reinforce old habits. This does not always mean rejection, but it does mean prioritization. You cannot evolve while constantly being pulled backward by influence that contradicts your direction. Sacrifice may involve choosing environments that align with your future rather than your past. The discipline of sacrifice is also visible in daily routines. Waking up early, studying when tired, training when uncomfortable, choosing. In part, responsibility over entertainment and continuing when progress feels slow are all forms of sacrifice. These decisions seem small, but they accumulate into transformation. Growth is not built on occasional effort, it is built on repeated sacrifices that shape character over time. Sacrifice also strengthens identity because it proves commitment. When you repeatedly choose growth over comfort, you begin to trust your own decisions. Self-trust increases when actions align with goals. Every sacrifice reinforces the message that your future matters more than temporary convenience. This internal alignment creates stability and direction. Without sacrifice, intentions remain weak. With sacrifice, intentions become visible through action. The cost of growth is unavoidable, but it is also purposeful. Nothing meaningful is built without investment. The investment is not always money or resources. Often it is discipline, time, focus, and comfort. The greater the sacrifice, the greater the potential transformation. What you release determines what you can receive. Holding on to everything prevents expansion. Letting go creates space for development. Growth always requires movement away from something familiar towards something unfamiliar. That transition cannot happen without sacrifice because the mind must detach from what is known before it can fully embrace what is possible. The willingness to endure that transition determines how far a person can evolve in life. 90 days can change everything because transformation is not always about long timelines. It is about focused seasons of intentional effort. Most people overestimate what can be done in a single day and underestimate what can be done in a disciplined stretch of time. 90 days is enough time to create structure, build momentum, and establish habits that can redefine the direction of a life. It is long enough to break old patterns and short enough to maintain intensity without losing urgency. When a person commits fully to a limited season, extraordinary change becomes possible. A 90-day period forces clarity. When time feels unlimited, effort becomes diluted. People delay decisions, postpone discipline, and assume there will always be more time. But when a defined window is set, focus increases. Urgency replaces delay. The mind begins to prioritize what truly matters because there is a visible endpoint. This creates mental pressure in a productive way. Instead of drifting through time, a person begins to structure time with intention. Every day starts to carry weight because it is connected to a limited opportunity for transformation. Within 90 days, habits begin to form and stabilize. The first phase of change is resistance, where old patterns try to dominate. The second phase is adjustment, where discipline begins to feel more natural. The third phase is consistency, where actions begin to feel automatic. When a person remains committed through these phases, identity begins to shift. What once required effort becomes routine. What once felt difficult becomes normal behavior. This is how transformation becomes sustainable rather than temporary. The power of 90 days lies in repetition. One action alone does not create change, but repeated actions over time reshape identity. When a behavior is repeated daily for 90 days, it begins to influence thinking patterns, emotional responses, and decision-making processes. The brain adapts to what is consistently practiced. This means that discipline in this window does not only change external results, it rewires internal systems. A person does not just act differently, they begin to think differently. Many people underestimate how much can shift in a short period because they are focused on immediate results. They expect visible transformation within days and become discouraged when it does not appear quickly. But real growth often works invisibly at first. The early days of change are about foundation building, not immediate reward. In 90 days, foundations become stronger, even if full results are still developing. What matters is not only what is visible, but what is being constructed beneath the surface. 90 days also creates a psychological boundary that encourages commitment. When there is no clear end point, it becomes easy to quit. But when a defined time frame exists, the mind is more willing to endure discomfort because it sees the effort as temporary but meaningful. This is how people push through resistance they would normally avoid. The awareness that change is concentrated within a set period helps strengthen discipline and reduce emotional hesitation. Momentum becomes a key outcome of 90 days. In the beginning, effort feels heavy and progress feels slow. But as consistency continues, momentum builds. Small actions begin to reinforce each other.